I can't see it now. I'll just tap you.
I can't see them cool.
Oh. Alright. Ready? Hello. I'm Casey.
I'm Fallon.
And this is
Render the Darkness.
Where'd you come from? Where did you go?
Where did you come from? Where did you go? I don't know. Can we sing that?
I don't know. That was not sponsored.
Okay, so worldly fact. You didn't do one. Alright, no worries. We can pause this and you can look one up really quick. You want to do it on the computer?
I was about to say I would, but my phone is in use.
I'll just let you type it.
Just want you to know, that looks really bad that the first thing that pops up is GoDaddy. Gook.
Fantastic. What?
Let's do the cats can't taste anything sweet.
Okay.
Oh, worldly fact. Cats can't taste anything sweet, apparently.
That's interesting. I figured they would be able to taste some sugar. It's kind of like chickens.
Chickens can't taste sugar?
I don't think they can taste anything sweet. They can taste salty. They can't taste sweet. I could be wrong on that.
Could you imagine going your whole life without eating anything sweet? I guess you wouldn't know.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
I would be sad though if I lost the...
Like if you had it and then you lost the ability to taste sweet, that would be the worst.
Yes.
Well, not the worst, but it would be really bad.
Yes, it would be very bad, especially for us.
Oh my God, no donuts?
Cookies, cakes?
That would be terrible.
Okay, so this episode is actually a folktale episode.
Okay.
The story was suggested by one of our listeners. Now, he didn't say whether we could use his name or not, so we will call him N. This was a great suggestion. Now, I've heard of Bluebeard before, and I'm sure most of you have as well. But while I was doing some of the research, I found some information that I have never heard before.
Can I make a confession?
Sure.
I had never heard of Bluebeard.
What? Okay.
True story.
Okay. But we really appreciate the suggestions, and we hope that you will continue to send them in to us. Now, there are a few versions of this tale, and I will talk about a couple, but I would have to say one of my favorites is from the Brothers Grimm. So, let's get into it. Bluebeard was given his name due to the fact that he had a long black beard with hints of blue throughout. They say that he was a good-looking and charming man, but that people also respected him and for some reason felt uneasy around him at the same time, and throughout his life he had many wives. Some versions say he's a good-looking, some say he is hideous with an ugly beard.
That's quite a different jump.
Yeah, choose whichever one you like.
Okay. Were there any pictures of him available online?
I've seen some, but they were kind of like, drawings.
Oh, they weren't like realistic. Okay.
Now, these different wives, for some reason or another, had died, and so he just kept getting married over and over. At one point in time, someone had asked him how all of his wives died, and he claimed that one died of smallpox, one of a strange sickness, and so on. Now, at this time, no one really thought of that as suspicious, because there were a lot of deaths related to different reasons that nobody really knew of medically at the time. He was once again able to marry another young and beautiful woman. She moved into his castle with him. A little while a little while later, he told her that he had to leave for a few weeks and that she could basically do what she wanted, invite anyone she wanted to the castle. Before he leaves, he gives her a set of keys. Now, in some versions, it's only one key, and told her that they will open any door in the castle. Now, he pointed out one key and said that it would open the door at the end of the hallway, and that no one, not even her, is allowed to set foot in that room and to never open that door.
So then why would he give her the key?
Yeah, that's my next thing. I was like, now, you would think that if he really didn't want her to go in that room,
he just wouldn't give her the key.
Right, he wouldn't include that key on the ring.
Maybe he was trying to test her character.
Yes, that's
maybe
also
it was like a moral. Oh.
Right. Like I said, but I'm guessing he did that maybe to see if she would disobey him.
Okay. So kind of the same train of thought on that one.
Right. He even went as far as to threaten unimaginable consequences if she ever did. So after the two had said their goodbyes, he got into his carriage and set off to where he was going. As the days go by, his wife hosted parties, invited many friends to the castle, and would give them a tour of all the different rooms except for, of course, the Forbidden Room. Now, as more time went by, she kept thinking about that room and wondering what could be in it and why she wasn't allowed in there. Now, she was, after all, his wife, and she should be able to do what she wanted to and go where she wanted to in her own home, right? So one day, when she could no longer bear the curiosity within her, she decided to go and open the door, and
shame.
And what she found was of nightmares.
It's never good, guys. If you have a locked door and you're put in front of it, just know there's like a 9 out of 10% chance that it's not good.
No, not at all. Don't open doors that you're not supposed to.
Don't do it.
Okay, so now there were the bodies of her husband's past wives, and they were hanging from the walls. Some versions said they were hanging from meat hooks.
Ew.
Yes.
Gnarly either way.
Now, she couldn't believe what she was seeing, and she screamed, turned to run from the room, but she had actually dropped the keys in the process in a pool of blood.
Of course she did. This is a classic horror film.
Right. Which she didn't actually notice until she was back in her room. Now, she knew that if she didn't clean the blood, that her husband would obviously know that she disobeyed him.
Also, if you don't have the keys to give him back, he'll know.
Right. But that, he would know that she went into the room. So she washed the keys with soap and water, but to her utter horror, they wouldn't come clean.
Oh.
Yeah. No matter how hard she tried, the blood wouldn't wash off. So I'm guessing maybe they were
iron,
like bewitched, maybe like magical, maybe. No.
Does this case have that kind of an air to it? There's some magic going on in here somewhere. Oh. Okay.
I just thought, I don't know why else the blood wouldn't come off of a key.
Well, if they were iron, I don't know if they would come out of.
It would mean like if you just dropped it real quick and then picked it up.
But didn't you say earlier that she dropped the keys and fled from the room and didn't notice that she had dropped the keys?
No, she dropped the keys in the blood, but she didn't notice it. She had dropped them in the blood. She
didn't notice the blood.
Right.
Okay, I misunderstood. I thought you meant she didn't notice she dropped the keys.
Oh, yeah, no. She just didn't notice it was in blood until she got back to her room.
Okay, well, then delete my last two comments.
No, that's fine. Let's see. Okay, so she knew that if she didn't clean the blood, that her husband would know that she had disobeyed him, and that she went to the room. So she washed the keys with soap and water, but to her utter horror, they wouldn't come clean. No matter how hard she tried, the blood would not wash off. So that night, Bluebeard come home from his journey to find that his wife looked physically upset. He asked her if anything bad had happened to her while he was away, and she assured him that nothing bad had happened.
Yeah, of course. She did so good the whole time he was gone and not disobeying him. Of course, the day she decides to do it is the day he comes home.
Right.
Like, you would have had so much more time to think and decide and choose what to do in the situation if you had just disobeyed him right off the rip.
Right.
That's a terrible lesson to suggest. But I'm just saying, it's how it always plays out. Like, even if she had done it the first night, he probably, for some reason, something would have happened in his trip and he couldn't have made it or whatever may have happened, and he would have came home that night.
Right.
It's just the way it goes.
That is true.
The universe. The universe is a fickle thing.
Okay, so that night, as they lay in bed, she couldn't get to sleep. All she could think about was what would happen to her when her husband found out she had gone into that room. Now, the next day, he asked her for the keys back, and she did hand them over to him, but he noticed that one of the keys was missing. Now, he asked her where the key to the forbidden room was, and she had asked, "Are you sure it's not there?" and said that she must have left it in her room.
Well, that's not suspicious.
So Bluebeard, demanded that she go get the key and bring it back to him. So reluctantly, she did as she was told and handed him the key. Now, at once, he noticed that the key had a blood stain. He turned pale, and in a dark, harsh voice, he had asked, "Why is there blood on this key?" His wife tried to stay calm, said that she didn't know why there would be blood on it. But of course he didn't believe what she was saying and screamed at her that she must have gone into the forbidden room, saying that she would be going back there and she would die like the others. Now she begged for him to spare her, but he said that she had to die because of what she had seen.
Why? I wonder. I'm not victim blaming by any means, but I wonder why once she opened the door and she's seen his other wives hanging on the walls, why wouldn't you just flee to the closest town or person that you could and report that?
You figure she would, but no.
Because if he did it to all of them, my first thought would be, if he was willing to do it to them, why would he not do it to me?
Right.
Also, my next thought would be, now he knows I know what he's done. I'm his only witness.
Right.
I would be like at the top of the castle with a megaphone so that he'd have to kill the whole damn town to get rid of all the witnesses.
Yep. Yeah, I really don't know why she didn't leave.
I don't either, but I just realized that probably didn't look great. my imaginary megaphone, I'm sorry. Anyway.
Okay, so at about that same time, her sister Anna had knocked on the door, and when she entered the castle, she made the statement that he looked pale and asked him, if everything was okay, and he said that everything was fine. His wife quietly asked him, if he would spare her life for just 10 minutes so she could visit with her sister one last time. Now, for some reason, he agreed to do this, and her and Anna went up to the tower of the castle, and she looked around frantically, asking if her brother would be coming soon. Her sister said, she didn't see him and she didn't think that they were going to be coming that day. So it after seemed like seconds, the 10 minutes were up and Bluebeard began to yell for his wife to come back downstairs, and if she didn't, he would come up and get her. Now, because she didn't want anything bad to happen to her sister, she did as she was told for what she thought was going to be the last time. Now, while Bluebeard grabbed her by the hair with one hand and raised a knife with the other, her sister called out that she could see her brothers arriving. Now, when he heard that, he screamed that he would kill them too, but his wife pleaded for him not to kill her once more, and when he was about to bring the knife down to her throat, her brother busted through the door with her sword and drawn and chased him as he tried to run up the stairs. Now, the brothers, they caught up to him pretty quick and were able to kill him before he could hurt the sister. And after he was killed, his former wives were given a Christian burial, and now the widow had the castle remodeled and eventually remarried to someone that treated her right.
Okay.
So happy ending for her in this. Okay, so now after doing some research, I found this story may have been inspired by two historical people.
Okay.
I'm not 100% sure about the first figure we're going to talk about. Some people think that there are similarities between the two, but in my opinion, the second figure we will discuss sounds a little more similar.
Okay.
Now, the first historical figure we will talk a little bit about is the French knight Gilles de Rais. Now, hopefully I said that correctly. I think it might be Gilles de Rais. Gilles de Rais was born in either September or October of 1404. Now, in the early part of his life, he had a good military career. He fought in the Duchy of Brittany in 1420 and for the Duchess of Anjou, where he fought against the English in 1427. Now, he fought many battles alongside Joan of Arc, including the relief of Orleans in 1429. Now, after Joan of Arc was captured, he went back to his land in Brittany. He was left a lot of land by his father and his grandfather, and he had actually married a wealthy woman by the name of Catherine Detroit. Sorry. He liked to fill his home with expensive things. He had lots of servants, heralds, priests. He loved music, literature, and pageants. And there was one pageant he was actually in called the Mystery of Orleans that almost made him go broke because he was spending lots of his own money on food and drinks. He would also pay to have the costume made for the pageant. And every time a new pageant happened, he would have the costumes remade each time.
Mm.
So he just discard the other ones, throw the other ones away, and make new ones for each one.
Wasn't a sewer, huh?
No, he just, I guess, just wanted a fresh one for each one.
Mm.
Which you figure would cost a lot of money? Maybe.
Well, I don't know. He did have dead bodies hanging in a wall in his house forever.
No, this is different.
Oh, well, maybe this guy was a germaphobe.
He might be.
See, I might have been onto something.
But in 1435, his family received word that the king decreed that he couldn't sell any more of his land. So he decided he would try alchemy. Now, he just started to become very interested in Satanism. He hoped by studying and learning more about it, he would eventually gain knowledge, power, and riches by summoning the devil.
Again, they just have some really, really irrational jump levels from... They go from, like, I was making tea to I've planted an herbal farm. Like, they just go from one thing to the extreme of the next.
He went hard. Now, he would later be accused of kidnapping, torturing, and murdering more than 140 children.
Aww.
So around 1440, he had some sort of argument with a cleric, and for some reason, he decided it would be a good idea to kidnap him, which led to an investigation by the Bishop of Nantes. In his investigation, he found some pretty damning evidence. Now, this led to the kidnapping being forgotten when he brought his findings to the Duke of Brittany. So another investigation led to Gilderay being arrested with two of his own bodyguards. And he was being charged with heresy, sodomy, and multiple counts of murder. Now, there were many people that told testimony, and that testimony convinced the court that he was behind the many disappearances of the French children. Now, on October 21st, he confessed to killing or having someone else kill numerous children, going as far back as 1432. Now, he estimated over 100, but some people think that number was in the 600 range. Okay, so there is a content warning here. This involves children and violence, and sexual violence as well. We'll give you a few moments, so if you want to skip ahead, you can. Okay, so his confession and testimony by the servants said that he had sexually assaulted some of the children before he killed them, and some he did afterwards. Now, he talked about how he tortured them and then dismembered their bodies. And they say, according to his own words, very often when the children were dying, he would sit on their stomachs and he took pleasure in seeing them die, and he would laugh about it. Now, he was sentenced to death and was hung on October 26th, 1440. He was believed to have said before he died to the people who were going to die with him, "Die bravely and think of only salvation." After he died, 4 women of high rank actually claimed his body. I'm not sure who. Didn't really find any names on that, but... Now, it's said that even though he was convicted because of his confession and the witness testimonies, that there are people who don't believe that he's guilty. They think he only confessed because he was afraid of being excommunicated if he didn't. Eventually, he was able to be buried in the churchyard of Notre Dame de Carmes. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly.
I would say Notre Dame's de Cremes.
Notre Dame de Cremes?
Or Notre Dame de Carmes?
Carmes? Okay.
Notre Dame de Carmes? I don't know.
Okay, so some historians also believe that the Duke of Brittany plotted against him in order to get his land. There was an event that was organized to try and retry Gilderay, and he was actually found innocent on a lot of the crimes, but unfortunately it didn't have any kind of judicial backing. Now, the main piece of evidence, or lack thereof, was the fact that they never found any bodies. But, of course, it was too late to save him the fate of being called a serial killer throughout history. Now, the second historical figure that we are going to talk about is Connemar, the Cursed.
Okay.
Now, he is said to have lived in the first half of the 6th century, but around 150 years or so after the fall of Rome. Now, there isn't a lot known about him, but the actions that he committed were remembered enough to make a folkloric tradition that lasted almost 1,500 years.
Wow.
Now, he was a ruler of the northern Bretagne coast. During the 19th century, he is seen a lot in the Bretagne saints' lives that give a lot of the villainy to the stories of the holiness of St. Paul, Aurelian, St. Samson, and St. Gildas. Now, the saints' lives are a literary genre that documents the lives of saints throughout a combination of historical sources, legends, and inspirational stories. So basically, like they're writing these things down that happen. And
So like a prophet for them?
Maybe, well, I mean, they're just basically writing down what's happening.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Okay, so many of the stories talk about how he came into power. Now, people say that he had killed his predecessor, Jonas, and drove his son out of the country. It is said that he was a big man, wicked, and very cruel. Now, his mother would ring a bell to let other people know that he was going into town.
That's terrible.
Now, when he was a child, he would often chase people, and if he was unsuccessful in the capture, he would let his dog loose to rip them apart. So, not a very good loser.
No.
In the biographies of the saints, we'll see how he is quite a bit like Bluebeard. He was an evil man who murdered 4 of his previous wives. He took a liking to a woman named Tryphene, and because he was known as a terrible and cruel person, he was unable to get her or her father to agree to the marriage. And during the time, there had been a lot of fighting going on in Brittany, and was causing all kinds of chaos and misery to its people. So he told Weroak that if he could marry Tryphene, that he would offer him and his people peace. Excuse me. Now, a holy man by the name of Gilda the Wise made the arrangements for the wedding. Now, he decided to stay close to Connemar because he thought that he could change him for the better. Never works. Never.
No. Only you can change yourself.
That is right. Now, he even convinced Weroak to accept the marriage offer. Now, he did agree, but only on the condition that when he wanted his daughter to return home, she would have been treated very well and would be whole and healthy. Now, Gildas agreed that he would personally make sure that this happened. And everything was going really good for a while, and Connemar tried his best to be good to his new bride, but something, of course, went wrong at some point.
She probably had an opinion or something.
Probably. Now, there are 2 versions of what happened. The first is that he's seen another woman riding a horse. According to Mike-History.com, she falls from the horse in such a way that she inflames his passions with a display of a shapely ankle. So he decides that he would rather be with this new woman now and wants to get rid of his wife. Now, after reading that part, I about fell over laughing. That must have been one hell of a nice-looking ankle.
I was thinking of the morbidness behind it, because what I take from that is it's saying she fell off the horse and broke her ankle, and he was like, damn, I really like that broken-ass ankle. I'm going to leave my wife for it, because she's damaged now, the chick with the broken ankle.
Yeah.
So maybe that was like a thing he had, like a kink.
Maybe. I just thought he was like, ooh, that's a pretty ankle. I would like to have you now.
It's weird either way. No matter how you spin it, it's bizarre.
Now, the second version is that he finds out that she is pregnant, and believing that he will be murdered by his child later in life, he kills her.
Again, one extreme to the other. One is like, hey, this chick fell off the horse and I think I like her ankle. And the other one is like, or she's pregnant with my future murdering child whose only goal in life will be to kill me.
Yep.
That's a pretty ginormous jump.
It is. Alright, so now there is one more legend that I want to talk about. This one is from Lewis Spence, and I thought it was a little too interesting not to include. So Gildas gave Tryphene a silver ring that would turn black as a crow's wing when evil was getting closer. Now the ring did turn black, so she ran into a chapel to pray, but when the clock struck midnight, she heard something moving around, and to her horror, the 4 tombs that held her husband's previous wives opened. And they told her that he planned to kill her. Now, they said that it was because he knew she was pregnant and he knew one day that one of his children would kill him.
So, same.
Now, they told her, to go back to her father, but she asked, how could she possibly escape with this dog outside? So the first wife told her to use the poison that killed her and to use the cord that killed the second wife to climb the wall. And the third wife told her to use the fire that had killed her to
find.
Yes, to find her way through the darkness. Now the fourth wife told her to take the stick that had broken her skull with her as well. Not sure what good the stick was for, to be honest. Didn't seem to help in any way whatsoever. Now, because the only horse that she could get would only walk at a very slow and relaxed pace, like there's no hurry to get anywhere. So her husband actually caught up with her and chopped off her head. Her father was told about her murder by some of Tryphene's servants, and while grieving, he had his daughter's remains brought back to him. He then reminded Gilda of his promise to restore his daughter to him healthy and whole. Now, because Gilda felt so bad about what happened and him not being able to protect her, he prayed as passionately as he possibly could before he went and put her head back on the neck of the body. And he said, Tryphene, in the name of the Almighty God, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, I command thee to rise upon the feet and tell me where thou hast been. And they say that she got up and said that the angels were getting her a place ready in paradise with the saints. Now, after bringing her to life, Gildas went back to Commonar's castle, and when he arrived, the gates were closed. So Gildas picked up a handful of dirt and threw it at the wall of the gate, and it crumbled. I'm not sure how. Dirt made it crumble, but it did.
Okay.
Now, in some legends, it says that Commonar survived the destruction and ran to another stronghold. Gildas took 30 bishops of Brittany and captured him, and he was cursed with an illness. Now, some legends say that he was crushed beneath the rubble.
Okay.
So there's many different versions. Now, another strong version of this legend is that Commonar was so evil that heaven or hell would not take him, and he was denied purgatory. So he was doomed to walk the earth as a werewolf. He would kill anyone that came to the forest, and the only way to kill him was to stab him in the center of the forehead. So that is the Legend of Bluebeard. Now I want to thank Ann again for the suggestions. It was really fun to research and learn a lot more about the legend and possible inspirations. Now, if you'd like to suggest a case, legend, cryptid, anything at all, feel free to email us at renderthedarknesspod@gmail.com. And we do really appreciate all of your time. Y'all are so amazing.
And as always, we can be found on Spotify and Amazon Music, and we are now also on iHeartRadio and Apple Music as well. We have Facebook, Twitter or X, Instagram, TikTok, Threads. We are in the works of getting our website going. We're fixing to start a YouTube channel where we're going to be doing these recordings on video, so you can watch us record, or you can go listen to us record, however you prefer to hear your podcasts.
Yeah, this is the first one we're doing on video.
So yeah, like she said, we really appreciate each and every one of you, and thank you for spending your time with us today. And this was a really good case.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I had a lot of fun.
Never heard of it. So
that still amazes me. Never heard of Bluebeard.
I've never heard of Bluebeard, but I have now, so I can't say that anymore. There you go. So thank you, In, for suggesting it.
Yes, thank you very much.
And we are
Render the Darkness.
Bye.
Bye.